Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm going to call meeting to order and ask Reverend Cyrus to give us the invocation, please.
Our Father, we come once again to say thank you for this day, for allowing us to see another day. We thank you now for this meeting, this agency, this director, and we thank you for this board. It's a privilege to serve you through this ministry. So thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Lord, bless this meeting.
Yes.
Give us direction, and let everything that we do here will be for your glory.
Yes.
Thank you for the seniors that you allow us to touch their lives in a meaningful way. And when, Lord, we have done business here, let us all leave here knowing that it's all for your glory. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. We'll have roll call by Dr. Cole.
Attorney Jennifer Marcent.
She is absent and she is out with the flu, so we will make sure we say a prayer for her.
Ms. Jerry Booker.
Here.
Derek Cole. Glenda Gentry.
Here.
William Daniels. Here. Attorney Stephen Schilling. Representative Denise Marcel.
Present.
Ms. Jessie Griffin.
Here.
Ms. Patricia Williams. Reverend Leo Cyrus.
Here.
Reverend Earl Domain. Professor Dorothy Jackson.
Here.
Ms. Pamela Ann Mitchell.
Here.
Okay, thank you.
We also just want to make sure we say a prayer for Mr. Steve Schilling. His wife had surgery this morning, and our new board member, Ms. Williams, is dealing with shingles. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any public comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our action items. The certification of the minutes of the Board of Directors from the last meeting.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes.
Okay, it's been moved by Dr. Cole, second by Professor Dorothy Jackson that we accept the minutes. Any opposition? Seeing no opposition, the minutes are accepted. Okay, we'll move on to Board Chairman report, and we'll start with the ad hoc committee report.
If you don't mind, I'm going to give the chairwoman's report unless a member of the ad hoc committee would like to do that.
You go right ahead.
Okay. So the ad hoc committee was formed. It's Miss Chairwoman, Chair Member Gentry, Jackson, I think myself, Marcel, and Dr. Gilmore. We all went and we looked at the property at 1747 Main Street, which is better known as the AKA building. We toured it, we met with their foundation board, and we think that it's a great purchase for the council. We also met with our architects at the building that's right next door to us. They think it would just be, the greatest thing they think about us getting the building is for the 3 lots that comes along with the building. We have, they have had it appraised, and the asking price for the building is $590,000. And what we did is so that we can go in and get some information for the building is sent them a letter of intent saying we intend to come back to our board and ask for permission to make an offer on the building. But in the meantime, we want to come in and see if the building has asbestos and do an A&E, get an A&E study from the architect and engineer, see what we need to do as far as the building is concerned. Coleman Partners, who is the architect for the 1701 Main project, thinks that it'll be a great buy because we're having issue 1 with parking for seniors, 2 space for employees, and 3 for the trucks getting in and out for the kitchen. And so that would allow us to have the entire city block right there. And so it's the chairwoman's recommendation along with the ad hoc committee is that we ask for permission from the board to entertain and make an offer to the AKAs starting at $550,000 for the building. And then as we get the reports back on asbestos, mold, any remediations that have to be done, then we'll take it off the price or the offer that we make. Did I say that exactly right, Glenda?
You did very well.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions?
I'd just like to say that when we sit back and look at it, a good deal of the 500, when we first saw 590, I was like stunned. But when we look at it, the 3 lots involved that give us the additional parking that we need, and that constitutes $250,000 of that amount. So we basically would have more the space that we need right next to where we need it, and for about the same price that we would have had to pay for a kitchen.
Right.
Would we be able to connect the 2 buildings?
Yes. According to Coleman Partners, they said a easement or a breezeway would be the best way to go because it's a 100-year-old building. We can connect both of them with an easement.
Well, I'd like to make a motion then that we make a initial offer subject to the results of any environmental studies and engineering and architectural studies that will be done prior to the final purchase offer.
And I second that motion.
Okay.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. William Daniels, second by Representative Marcel. All those in favor, let me see by hands, please.
And let us hear it by mouth for the recorder.
Oh, those opposed? Seeing no opposition, the motion is carried. Thank you.
Okay, the chairwoman's second report is update on the Zachary Senior Center. So since we passed the millage, the city of Zachary told us that they would no longer pay the rent for the facility in Zachary because they felt like now we had enough income to pay for it ourselves. We met with the owner of the building, Mr. Cheney. He came to the building. He met with the ad hoc committee and myself. And Mr. Cheney decides he wants us to lease the building. There has not been a lease between the city and Mr. Cheney since 2012. They just been going month to month paying him. I think they've been paying him $1,800. Am I correct, Ms. Pratt? $1,800 a month. He wants to lease it to us for $2,200 because he said we can afford it. We are at capacity in the building. We can't fit but 25 seniors in there, and there's only 1 bathroom. There's no office space, no storage space, and so we went and we looked at the building. There are no other places in Zachary. There is a building across the street that is currently for sale. The ad hoc committee, they went out, Glenda and Dr. Gilmore went and looked, not the ad hoc committee, I apologize, Dr. Gilmore and Ms. Gentry, our resident real estate expert, went and looked at the building, and I think Dr. Gilmore is going to make some recommendations, Ms. Gentry is going to make some recommendations about the building.
Well, first of all, I scoured Zachary and looked at many property, well, not many because there weren't that many, but about 10, 15. And all of them had issues that we couldn't deal with. They were either 2-story or they were in a
shopping center where the traffic wouldn't work for the seniors, or there were stairs, or there wasn't any parking, things like that. So Dr. Gilmore and I went, and the one that I really, really, really liked turned out to have been sold a year ago, and the guy didn't move it off the market. But Dr. Gilmore and I went and looked, and we found a building that's about
Twice the size.
more than 2 times the size. It's 5,000 square feet. It has good space, good open space, right? And bathrooms, offices.
Parking.
It's in lots of parking. It's awesome. And I mean, it's awesome for our needs. Then we wanted to go look at the other building that we had, and we put it in our GPS, and it was right there across the street. So this won't disrupt the seniors' routines because it's across the street. Anyway, the building was on the market for $425,000. I sent a letter of intent that is not a contract, that is a letter of intent, so that we could possibly negotiate the price prior to presenting it to you. And I got them down to $372,500, which is 82% of the sale price, so it was a good negotiation. And that also will put us at approximately the same price as the rent that we were paying.
What, is there an appraisal on the property?
No, it would be subject
do all
to
of that.
appraisal.
Because we can't pay more than the appraised value.
Well, of course not. We're aware of that. Any,
I was saying it for my own benefit.
okay, if we decide to present an offer, it will be subject to, of course, adequate financing and appraised value, and we'll have a 30-day due diligence period, where during that 30 days, we can look at asbestos, any inspections that we want to make. And during that period of time, we can reject the contract without any explanation at all.
So do we intend to finance this?
So we're leaving that up to you all. The chairwoman wanted to, she wanted Glenda to present this, but she also wanted to say if you all wanted to ask Glenda to maybe ask them if we want to lease it for a year and see how that works. It's up to what the board wants to do. We're amenable.
And I guess the question for me would be whether or not they would entertain a lease purchase agreement.
They will not.
They will not?
Okay, so I didn't have that
It's for
conversation. So I
sale.
wasn't
It's for sale,
privy.
okay.
Okay, so if it's not, then
Right.
that answers that.
Right, okay.
Because I wasn't privileged to the negotiations. so I
That's
wasn't
fine.
sure.
Yeah,
I really didn't know that was a
that was just a
option
question
either.
that came,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's fine. But I did ask about that, and he wants to sell it.
How long has it been on the market?
It's
Tenants are in it right now.
the
DME companies is leasing from them right now.
To the mic.
right. It's leased. The LACDB is a little different than the MLS. It doesn't provide all of that information, how the term of market and stuff like that.
Do we have the ability to go to a bank and get a loan and our mortgage company and finance this building? James?
That's a CFO question.
I know it's a CFO question, but I have to let you know because my honest opinion is we can't do that now. Okay,
How would
but
we purchase it?
it'll have to be financed, I would think, whenever we purchase it. Yes, have to be financed.
And I guess I should ask this, are we planning on financing the building next to
Yes.
1701 Main?
Right.
I would think that you would be able to get financing for at least the
10 years.
term of the tax. I would think that would be a doable deal.
Right.
Okay, my thing with that is we just voted to make an offer for the AKA building. Isn't that just, to me, that's kind of too much buying at one time. We may need to wait at least a year or so before we look into buying something else, because when you go in and you start buying up buildings, it's not like we want to keep buying property, but we need to do one at a time.
So my question would be, is it advantageous to do it now because it's only limited space, buildings in that area, one. Two, you're in the season of buying to make sure you have the properties and the space for people that you need to service. And you also have the issue with the person raising the rent, and that may come into play again. Or what if the building, because we didn't purchase it, then becomes unavailable because they want to sell it to somebody else?
And if you wait a year, you've just paid a year's worth of rent for no benefit
You get
whatsoever.
nothing back, it just flushes.
But what happens if we don't get financing for it?
Then we
Well,
can't
maybe,
see
Well, if you don't get financing, then they don't close.
well, can we do this? Dr. Gilmore has a capital outlay presentation that he's going to make to you all. And then maybe we can table this part of the discussion until his presentation, which encompasses all of the capital outlay for this year. And we can make a decision on that at the end with that. Can we do that?
Because you have many more expenditures like.
Right,
Dumas House
so you
Park
can
and
see
lot.
everything that we're doing, and then we can make one, yeah. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so Madam Chair, if you don't mind, let's just table that until we get his presentation.
Okay.
Can we go to the presentation? Can we
Yes.
get down and just go?
We can skip down and do that. Yes, we can. If the chairwoman.
It's fine.
So
Entertain a
moves.
motion.
You're gonna entertain a motion.
Got a motion?
To move it.
Reverend Cyrus?
Second.
Mr. Daniel, second. All those in favor, say aye.
All right.
Those opposed? Seeing no opposition, we're going to skip down.
So it's in the CEO report as item number 5. So we'll go to Dr. Gilmore's capital outlay.
It's on the left side of your folder. It's a PowerPoint presentation on the left side. And as we were having these discussions about purchasing buildings and financing, Ms. Amar thought it'd be good to give everybody a good global perspective of things that we committed to doing with the tax millage, so that as you make these decisions, you can plan what's 2018, what's immediate, what's 2019, what's 2020, as we're thinking through this process. So first page shows 1701 Main Street building. Second page, flip over. Basically, you were given an update on the Main Street building at the last board meeting, but just to let you know, the city's putting up $3.1 million of CDBG dollars to renovate that building. They have indicated to us, and they wanted us to make you all aware, that there is a $750,000 gap.
Wait, let me interject. So since we're out of order, in my report, I had a meeting with them this week. There is no longer a $750K gap. We have the whole project done for $3.1 million.
Oh, okay, good.
What was the gap?
The gap was for the kitchen.
That's what I thought.
Right, and so we've gotten that straight now, and so the whole project can be done with grant money at the 3.1.
That's very good. And you have a lease of $3,500 a month, so
Right.
do remember that. Timeline is 280 days from the start of construction, which we don't know when the start of construction
We're
will
still
be.
in design phase.
Yeah. Your Baker Senior Center, that was a tax millage promise. It is complete. We had the grand reopening on last week. Spent $20,000, new paint, new furniture, curtains, milk machine, juice machines, updates to the kitchen, updates to office space there, ceilings, doors, as well as kitchen equipment.
Do we own that building, James?
No.
It's rental
No.
No.
Well, yes, it is. I'm sorry, it is a rental.
from the
city of Baker.
City of Baker owns it.
Yes,
Did it flood? Was
it did.
It had to be.
Yeah.
Some of it was a flood, but a lot of it was just outdated wear and tear from the seniors. We had been there some years, and we never did anything to it.
Do we have a rent in that building?
We do. It's $1,600, but it's 3 times the size of Zachary.
Then on page 3, you'll see a photo of the Baker Senior Center, and then we move down to what we call the AKA building, 1747 Main Street. Ms. Amar just gave you an update on that. The purpose is for workspace for administrative personnel because basically the 1701 Main Street next door is designed will not accommodate all the seniors and staff. We're already bursting at the seam with the current design of the building. So far, we've had 2 architects visit the space. They're going to provide us some rough estimates for renovations. We've had 1 contractor visit the space to provide us some rough estimates. We've had 1 asbestos mitigation expert to visit the space, and they'll be going in next week to pull up tiles and ceiling and paint to test. It's been appraised for $590,000. The next steps, which we've already went through, board must vote to purchase or make offer, and then we would then hire an architect or firm to bid out the asbestos mitigation if it's found to have asbestos, which it probably will, as well as the renovation costs.
James, is it possible to add this project to the Coleman contract since they're related? Just a change order or something that we can do that? I think that would give more cohesiveness to the whole project.
Well, we had that discussion in the meeting. That's what she's telling us. And Coleman, the representative, Joseph Fody, they're interested, but he also said if we did it ourselves outside of the city structure, it'd be much faster, that the administration could get in the building much quicker than the city's project. That doesn't mean they couldn't do it, but.
You're saying if they did it outside the city parish?
Right. You know, because I think there's some different.
They already have a contract. Otherwise, you're going to have to go out for architectural selection.
Right.
That's true. Have a scope and then go out for architectural selection. Unless it's less than $50,000, and then I think you can just
Doubt that.
rebid.
Okay, so we can look into
We'll
that
look into
and
it.
ask them about the best way to do that. That's a great idea. Okay.
Next, the Dumas House parking lot. I know this has been something that all of us have cringed about every time it rains. It floods, floods, floods. Even recently, we've had to disperse sandbags to the doors in the recent rains. So it also was a tax millage promise. To give you a little historical perspective, in 2012, that probably was around time you arrived, Tasha, she requested a drainage study. And Chuck Brown, who's now over DEQ, his firm provided the drainage study. In 2012, it was $375,000 to completely demolish and improve the parking lot. And for those of you all who don't know, our seniors flood. They have to move their cars across the street. They then have to walk across the street to get back to their homes. It's just not good living condition for them.
And I can say this last rain, this last heavy rain we had, it really scared us to death because this water was the highest that it has been, and it was to the doors, and they were locked in all weekend. And so we had to go in our vans, sandbag the doors to the point where they were stuck in there. And then so we had to go back, unsandbag it, bring them something to eat. It was ridiculous. So we are aiming to get this project done and complete before the next hurricane season. We have to get this done.
And we budgeted $475 in the current year budget for this drainage project. Again, in 2012, the costs were estimated to be at $375 to fix it. Again, next steps will be to hire an architect design firm to bid out the project. Then you'll see on bottom of page 4 a picture of the parking lot, and the bottom of page 5, the recent flooding, last week before last.
Yeah, that was last week's flooding.
So the proposal would be to tear up the entire parking lot and put some sort of drainage in?
Right. So Mr. Brown, he gave in the proposal that he put together along with DPW, because we were the first ones to build there. Everything built up around us. We're in a bowl. So they decided that we need to tear the whole parking lot up, put a pumping system in certain areas, and build it up by a certain amount of feet with dirt and gravel, and then rebuild the whole parking
Is
lot.
there like a financially constrained plan?
That's it. That's the cheapest. Well, 2012, the cheapest was $375,000, and this is after we built a $28,000 levee system and a canal
did that,
ditch that goes between this apartment complex and the church. So we had to build that first. So that part has been done. That cost us between $28,000 and $50,000.
It seems like you just put some drains in with some sump pumps in it and pump the water into.
Yeah, that's what's in the levee system. It's a drain and a sump pump, and that's not working.
In
You gotta have a bigger pump.
Maybe. You've been there, Mr. Daniel. You sent your guys with me.
I know.
you were there. Yeah, you were there.
I was just hoping maybe that there was a less expensive way to
Yeah.
do the same thing.
And
Would have
again,
been as good, but it might have been less expensive.
Can I
Yeah.
ask a question?
Yes.
Does the city have any responsibility for allowing this to happen?
Yeah, we've been back and forth with them.
It would seem to me that we were there first and then they allowed everybody to build up around us and put us in this position. I would think the city would take some responsibility.
Well, Mrs. Daniels can answer that question. We've had that discussion several years ago. They basically said no. The mayor at the time said it wasn't their
They
issue.
did that to me on Highland Road. They built a Brett Park there and drowned my lot. I mean, they re-diverted the drainage and they diverted it to me.
You're not supposed to re-divert drainage onto somebody else's property.
Well,
That's not allowed, but it's also a civil matter. So I'm not sure the city could help you.
Right.
Now, they're supposed to do drainage studies when they build it, but I don't know how long ago all this was
Yeah.
built and whether or
Many
not
years ago.
that is still relevant.
Right.
so it would be, okay.
Water.
So in other words, the city's not going to take any.
That's what they told us in 2012.
yeah, the previous administration told them that, so.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just giving you all a global perspective as you plan your capital outlay projects, whatever direction the board decides to take.
Dumas House, is that
We own
We're headed to
Dumas House,
Yeah, we're on
yes.
Dumas House parking lot.
We own Dumas House, the property itself.
But if, Tasha, if you were to say this is absolutely a priority,
Priority one.
yeah, that's,
Outside of the second priority after Meals on Wheels.
this is something that we need to get done.
Right.
At page 5, beneath the Dumas House parking lot that's flooding, you'll see Homewood renovations. This was also a tax and millage promise, also a neighborhood promise. Whenever the neighborhood donated Homewood to the Council on Aging years ago, the MOU says that we would keep it upgraded and ensure that it's not an eyesore to the community, to the neighborhood.
We're going to talk about each one, or we're going to do it as a package? We're talking about each one, but are we going to make any motions on each one? Or are we doing this as a package?
No action items today. This is more on no action items on anything that's not on your agenda already.
Okay.
This is to give you an idea, so when you talk about financing and spending money, you can think, do we buy a building now, or do we fix the pool now? Do we do the drainage now, or you all have a good perspective, so you won't just spend and not know what the big plan is.
Do we need a pool?
We have a pool.
No, do we need a pool?
We have a pool.
Because that pool's in pretty sad shape.
It's fixed. It's better since you've seen it last.
Okay.
We put some money. We put some money in it, but we for Dumas House. Part of it. Now this predates me for Homewood. I'm sorry. This predates me. But in the MOU, our promise and commitment to that community is one, that we would keep the pools up and turn it into a senior center, because the residents in that community are seniors, and they utilize it. They utilize the facility, and they want the other seniors to utilize the facility. So, and our commitment is that we would go in and fix it. And we have patched it up. The seniors used it last year, the year before last. But now it's time to really fix it. We patched it, and it's cracked again. So we just need to replaster the whole pool, change the pumping system. It's 30 years, antiquated. It's still a old sand system. Change the pump house and just extend the senior center so they can have some more room. They have quite a few seniors that go there, and they're to capacity. The showers at the time when they built that aquatic center was aimed at children. We need to put some bars and just to make it more senior friendly.
I think you said the floor is
ADA and
slippery or
safe, the
something.
floor is slippery, that kind of stuff. So we had Coleman Partners back in 2011. My predecessor had them to come out. We have drawings and plans, and all of that has been paid for. And it's been 8 years, and so, they're asking us, the neighborhood association, they meet there once or twice a month, and so they're asking us, okay, now what you gonna do? You're gonna keep your word, so we want to be able to do that.
And we've budgeted $175,000 in this year's budget to do the upgrades to the senior center, the expansion of the senior center, and fix the pool. The Sasha phrase is popping up, right?
Right, it's coming up out the ground.
Then on page 6, beneath the Homewood renovation, Homewood pitch photo, the Gus Young Fire Station. This is a place where we think would be a good place to house our intergenerational program, where youth and seniors come together after school and in the evenings and engage in structured activities as well as other senior services. It too was a tax millage promise. We're meeting with the RDA, who owns the building, who has possession of the building, today at 3:30 to discuss possibly acquiring the building, or what would their interest be, because right now the fire station does belong to the RDA. And again, we would then follow the normal obtaining estimates as well as hiring an architect design firm if we were to acquire it for renovations.
This building was a gift from the city parish to the RDA.
Yeah.
So we hope it's a gift to us.
Yes.
That's
they
what we
paid
want.
nothing for it.
And we don't want to pay nothing for it. That's
And
what,
I would suggest that we get the same deal.
that's right. That's what the
We'll let them
meeting's
know that's what
for.
you said. And then, last but not least, of course, we need to ensure that our senior services cover the entire parishes, and there are areas of our parish where there are needs, and we're not there to meet those needs. So, and over the years, people in the areas of Gardere, Kenilworth, St. George, that should be Port Hudson, not Chaneyville, Port Hudson area, have asked for senior centers. And I can remember years ago, these folks would come to Tasha's office and send letters because one of the requirements, I think it may be in the org structure or bylaws, or that Tasha requires, is that the neighborhoods need to come together to want a senior center and help find a space, be it a church, and talk about how you all are going to utilize it and help promote it. It's not just the EBR COA does all the work. And so this would be, the next steps would be for us to work with those community stakeholders and to help identify location and space so that we can fill gaps in these areas that have come to Ms. Amar asking for a senior center. So again, this is just a global perspective of things that you all should think about related to capital outlay and expenditures, so that as you discern what's priority or what needs to be financed now and financed later, you'll have a full picture. Okay. Any questions?
Thank you. Excellent presentation.
Okay.
So my question is, we went to the presentation because we were talking about the building.
Right.
Right.
And so do we need to have a motion on whether or not we move forward with the offer and the offer?
Right. So, and one, in the same vein with Dr. Gilmore, and I hadn't had an opportunity to give my report yet, but one thing that I can say, that maybe we underestimated, was the need of the folks in this community, in this parish. Since we rolled out the Meals on Wheels program on Monday, We have gotten, in one day, we had upwards of 3,000 voicemails from seniors and caregivers across the parish looking for Meals on Wheels. And these are people that were not on our current waiting list, okay? We have had hundreds of people coming into the facility that were not on our waiting list and for better lack of a term, are not our typical clients. They are from different parts of the parish. We have a heavy influx from the 70810 zip code 14, St. George area, Jones Creek area, out there. My INA department has 605 calls that they have returned, and they are scheduling to go out and to do assessments. So Ms. Pratt and I met this morning, and I can say that by next week or the week after next, we'll have to look at doing a budget revision to try to meet some more needs in the Meals on Wheels program. Because even though we met the waiting list, that was an additional, was it 1,060? Total, 1,060.
What caused all the phone calls?
Didn't know they had money.
I think it was intricate. I think it was the ad in the paper. A lot of the seniors called and said, well, we never had your number. We didn't know how to get you. We didn't know that how you could get Meals on Wheels, number one. I also, it was dissemination of that information. It was the both channels. We were on Monday morning, we were on channel 9, WFB, and we were also at the same time on Fox 33, live all morning. I think it was that. And then when they saw the folks going out to deliver to the seniors to the homes, the calls just started rolling in. We've gotten calls and emails. I've gotten emails from Congressman Graves' office, from Bodie White's office, from senators and all kind of people asking me to help their constituency. So we are going to make a reevaluation of the budget. So some of these programs that we wanted to do, like intergenerational, it's important, but not more important than getting more meals to seniors. So we might move that back a year or so.
So you'd say the ads were a very positive thing into reaching out to members of the community that we hadn't really been able to reach out
according to the seniors, which is important to me, they have called. We made a decision, and this was in my report, about the best way to be transparent, to get our message out ourselves, and to give out information so they know what we do. And so we met with people that are marketing gurus. We met with SSA, and we asked them, what do you think what do you think we should do? And some of their, some thoughts from folks was, you should do an ad, who's been in the marketing business for years. Newspaper is cheaper than commercials. You can reach just as many people. And so when we did the Advocate run, we were in the Advocate and all 4 of their other papers. The Zachary Plainsman, it came with the Central News and this one. The Drum. We were in multiple papers on that day. It was a one-time deal because we had a choice. We could do commercials, and we could do mail-outs, and all that's $15,000, $20,000 when we wouldn't spend that kind of money. So we chose to do that, and the phones started ringing the next morning. And then, yes, sir.
With all these people responding, it seems like we're gonna have to go back for another tax.
Don't you say that, Barbara.
What we will have to do is, and Ms. Pratt and I have been talking about it, we're going to have to do some budget adjustments, because what's more critical and important is getting the seniors the meals, because what the ad did and what the news report did was break a misnomer that you have to be poor to receive the meal, or you have to be of a certain ethnicity or live in a certain area, which has been the number one questions that the care managers and social workers have been getting. And so now that they realize that you don't, we've been seeing everybody, Asians, we've been having them come in and different diverse group of folks coming in to ask for assistance that we hadn't had before. So it's been a great thing for us.
And I guess the reason that I brought up the ads was I read a criticism of the ads.
Sure, me too.
And I didn't really understand the criticism because I thought the ads were very positive and did give you the ability to reach out to more people
Yeah.
in a very cost-effective manner.
Right.
And I think the results from the phone calls and emails that you have gotten sort of proves that you made a pretty wise and pretty cost-effective decision to reach a portion of the community that you heretofore had not been able to get in touch with. So
What was the criticism?
that they were spending money on things that were not directly involved in reaching out to seniors.
And it was an opportunity for us to gloat.
Right, and I think that, well, I mean, when you do things well, and you're a nonprofit organization, and people are considering every day your future in the community, I think a little gloating is okay. So I commend you on the ads.
Thank you.
And I wish that we would sort of have a forum to be able to respond to that criticism. I'm not sure what the best way to do it is, but I think that people, we can. Yeah.
Well, and one thing that we are doing is we did get approved. We sent our budget into the city. We do have a line item for information dissemination and marketing, and we had Dr. Gilmore held an RFP pre-bid meeting this morning to let them know we want to find venues and ways to get our information out at who we serve and how we serve, and you know, there are no criterias and just have to be in the parish. So those type of things, we're vetting groups right now to see what's the best way to do that.
Well, anyway, I'd like to commend you on the ads.
Thank you.
They were tasteful and necessary.
Thank you.
Well, I
Tasha, don't forget to have to do the math.
I would have commended her on the ads.
$500 means $4.09 a meal.
It's cheaper than FEMA.
I would have commended you all on the ads, except that it caused my phone to blow up.
Right.
And I've been getting texts and calls all day. And we looked it up. People actually went to the website and they said, and we see that you're a board member.
Right.
So we can't get in through the lines because the lines are blocked up.
Right.
We can get on your line. So I was going to commend you until I start getting all the calls. I got a list of my own stuff that I need to turn in, but I explained to people that, seriously, I got a text this morning.
That's kind of like what you elected officials do.
Right.
Some of y'all.
Really, a lot of people just didn't know. You would be surprised.
Yeah.
And even the people that I represent that didn't know, didn't think that they qualified. They thought it had to be a dollar amount. They thought that, that two parents living together would exclude them, but they really, really needed the help. And I don't know, I didn't know they were going to put it on YouTube, but I don't know if any of you all watched the lady who I delivered to that started screaming when I got to her. Matter of fact, she started calling before I got there to see when were the people going to deliver her meal. She started screaming before I could get in her yard. I have waited 7 years for this to happen.
I saw that.
And she kept saying, I was trying to just talk to her. She was like, 7 years.
Yeah.
7 years.
Yeah.
And then she started with the part that the clip did not show is once I got inside the house, because all I want to talk to somebody. So I invite the critics and those that just want to see what's happening at the board meeting or just want to, see if we're going to lack transparency or whatever, to please come out and go to some of these homes with me, because they are looking for someone to talk to.
They are.
That's the other thing that they want. So the lady started telling me how much money she made, and she started saying, I just don't even know how I make it. I have to hit my son. And the amount of money after she paid her rent, she had no money left. So those are the kinds of stories that we got to tell, that we've got to show, and it's in every neighborhood.
Right.
People are balancing whether or not they buy their medication or their meals, and I think we have an obligation to take care of these seniors.
Right.
So I'm honored to be a part of this board.
All right.
Thank y'all for y'all hard work, staff. I think we need a new phone system at the Council on Aging.
We got, that is the new system.
So is that the new one that crashed?
Yes, that's the new one that crashed in 2 days.
Okay.
Okay,
Can I just add a little something?
yes, ma'am.
Aren't there seniors, all seniors, what am I trying to say? Seniors that need assistance are not necessarily indigent.
No, they're not.
So a lot of the seniors who are not indigent are willing to make contributions and help
Some of them do.
pay for the Meals on Wheel program.
Right.
But I'll tell you, it's just the cost effectiveness, because if you have to go out and buy all the groceries to make a meal, it's a huge amount of money as compared to us getting a meal already done. And most seniors don't eat a great deal, so you spend I'm speaking from personal experience, we spend a whole lot of money going to make my mother's meals, and she eats 2 bites of it.
Right. Well, we do have some seniors that
So it's-
purchase the food box at $26.25 for the week. And so we have some that do purchase.
And I think that assistance will help to
I might need to
the expansion of the number of people asking for it, is all I'm saying.
Okay.
And to remember that when we're doing the assessments.
Yes, sir.
Madam Acting Chairman, I would like to point out that while there were a cacophony of negative voices in the article yesterday,
Yes.
Robert.
She did.
Robert
She
was,
did. She took another one for us.
taking the time to come to the meeting
Yes.
and understand what is going on, understood what was
Right.
what the ads were all about,
She
and was
did.
able to say something
was.
positive about it. So
Yeah.
thank you. Ms. Wood.
Thank you. Okay, so if, Madam Chair, we can get.
We can move on.
Okay.
Okay.
So we said all that to say that Ms. Pratt is working on, for next board meeting, a budget revision to add additional dollars to the $2.2 million for Meals on Wheels, because we will need it. So that needs to weigh in your decision on how you all want us to move forward where Zachary is concerned. Either way, we're going to be paying $2,200 one way or the other, because we don't have anywhere else to go. There is nowhere to rent in Zachary. I mean, you have very little choice, so.
Well, I want to tell you also that we looked in that building, and
it's very
the whole
small.
space is about as big as this table.
Right.
It just isn't
Yeah.
enough space.
Right.
So we have no expansion opportunity, and
Right.
this building will give us more than double, and some additional. We even have some space with a separate entrance that we could lease out to offset costs. If we were.
I'd like to make a motion that we explore purchasing the other building.
And I second it.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Daniel, second by Representative Marcel, that we explore purchasing the Zachary building.
Well, I don't understand what explore means. We have explored
Move
it.
forward. We
Yeah.
can finance it.
All right.
Okay.
See if it's, there's no environmental hazard.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so we can move forward with an offer, subject to conditions, okay.
Okay, the
I would
motion,
prefer that we finance it, and if we could finance it over 10 years, I think that would be,
Okay.
and we better hurry, because I think interest rates are going up.
I'll shop for money this afternoon.
All right. She likes shopping for money. Shop for me some, too. All in favor?
okay, the motion's on the floor, all in favor? Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we'll be looking into Zachary also.
Okay.
Okay.
We,
have a question.
Yes.
Going along with this, as we're looking at purchasing buildings and things, are we looking at some kind of maintenance process for keeping, the upkeep, because that's going to come in with
that will come into it.
We'll definitely put that on cost analysis. We'll definitely put that on cost analysis.
Okay. We're going to go to item 3, Madam Chairwoman, under the board's chairwoman's report, scheduling of the bylaws committee meeting. Our chair for that committee is Professor Jackson. We need to schedule a bylaws committee meeting because our council member, Collins Lewis, tenured her resignation at the end of the last board meeting. Normally, the process has been, since I've been here, my predecessor and the one before me has been, whomever the council person is, they go to their colleagues and ask them to serve and fill in the last year, to fill that year of their unexpired term. She has 4 months left in her seat. She has asked Councilwoman Banks to sit for her until May. So after May, what the Board Development Committee met after May. What they want to do from here on out is not have that process. They want to send a letter to all the council members, inviting them to send in their a letter of interest or their bio saying that they want to hold that seat, so we can make it fair and get away from
Any member of the council that's interested should be able to submit their bio, and not we would remove the
choice from the person.
Well, not just the choice, but the perception from people that they're eliminating people off the council. So Ms. Barbara Freiberg may be interested. We would never know that if a council member went to Ms. Banks and then next Ms. Freiberg to serve. So we just wanted the process to be open and fair, and that was a suggestion of our committee that we, going forward, would change the bylaws.
Right, because it's not in the bylaws. There's never been a process, and
It's just the way they did it.
And I left out that before she asked Ms. Banks, she asked Councilman Loop, and he called me and said that he wanted to do it, but he wasn't gonna lie, we were gonna make the meetings, so he wouldn't do that because he wouldn't show up, and so we didn't need that in a board member. So she will just she has committed to serve out her last 4 months, which is up until the annual meeting, May 15th. When is the annual meeting? May 18th, I'm sorry, May 18th, and at the annual meeting, then you all, along with the seniors, will select and pick the new person that will hold the council member seat.
Okay, I'm in the process of coordinating a date for all of the members that are Reverend Cyrus is on the committee.
Okay.
As soon as we confirm a date, we're gonna have a meeting.
Okay, all right, okay, great. And that concludes the chairwoman's report.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
We're going to move to the Board Development Committee.
Madam Chair, the Board Development Committee met on January 31st, and at that meeting we discussed two prospective candidates to fill the unexpired public-private agency board seat and the nonprofit appointment board seat. And for our consideration and recommendation, we have for the public-private agency, Ms. Chana Banks. She's lived her entire life in the community of Scotlandville. Upon graduating from Southern University Lab High School, she earned a Bachelor of Science degree from Southern University in Computer Science. During a career change, she went on to graduate school at Southern University at Baton Rouge and obtained a master's degree in education, leadership, and counseling. She has dedicated 25 years of working with women, children, and families. Her career span has been in child welfare, mental health, and school counseling. She is currently employed at the East Baton Rouge school system, and she is the first female to hold a position and be re-elected to the position of East Baton Rouge Parish Metro Council in District 2 in 2016. And Ms. Banks is being recommended for the public-private agency seat.
Okay, thank you.
For our second recommendation, we have...
Can I interrupt? Mr. Fritz Dugas, our young attorney, tenured his resignation at the same meeting because he accepted a position with a law firm in Lafayette. He's going to be a junior partner. So even though he wants to stay, he got to move to Lafayette for his new job. Okay? All right.
Okay. Father Richard R. Andrews Jr. is being considered for the nonprofit appointment board seat. Father Andrus received the Bachelor of Sociology and minor in Psychology degree from Divine World College in Epworth, Iowa in 1977. In 1983, he received his Master's of Divinity with mission specialization Catholic Theological Union in Chicago, Illinois. On December of 1983, he was ordained as a Catholic priest for the Society of the Divine Word. He currently is the pastor of St. Paul the Apostle Catholic Church, where he serves over 400 families in Baton Rouge. He's on the board of directors for St. Paul Adult Learning Center. He's a board member for health centers and schools, and he's a member of the executive board of directors of Together Baton Rouge. Mayor President Sharon Weston Broom's Commission for Police Reform. He has served on various boards for the Society of the Divine Word from 1983 to 2014 and has held several positions of national and local leadership. Father Richard R. Andrews Jr., consideration for the nonprofit appointment board seat.
Okay, before we take a vote, are there any questions? Any comments? No questions or comments? All those, let's get a motion for.
I move that we accept the recommendation of the board on both appointments for China Banks as a public private entity, and also Father Andrews.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded by Representative Marcel and Mr. William Daniel that we accept the report from the Board Development Committee with China Banks and Father Andrews.
I tell you what, the pastors and the fathers and the priests, they love us for some reason. They like us. We keep some pastors and preachers.
He's excited.
It's me, huh, Pastor Cyrus?
Okay, all those in favor? Those opposed? No opposition? Then we have our new board members, China Banks Daniels, and Father Andrews.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yay, all right.
Okay. Do we have a?
She's just Shauna Banks now.
Oh, it's Family Banks.
Yes.
Okay.
She didn't want to be related to me anymore.
She won't be related to you anymore, Mr. Daniel?
Okay, we're going to move to the finance report. Miss.
The first item is the acceptance and approval of the budget versus actual report. This is our quarterly report ending December 2017 that we must submit to the Governor's Office on Elderly Affairs. It's a 3-page report that you have in your packet. Okay. First of all, the actual cost for July through December, well, revenue or income was $1.498,576, and then our total expenses were a little high. It's still a little high, but the reason is 1.623478. And if you look on page 2 of the document, on the kitchen supplies line, 5212, that is the bulk of the increase. And what we did was, in order for us to roll out January 1 with our projects and our programs, we had to hire staff early. We had to get food early for the kitchen because we wanted to have 2 weeks worth of food supply to start. And we had to get equipment for the kitchen. So that's the bulk of the cost. If you see, it's like $127,000 of the $124,000 loss that we had. Now, we did not have a cash flow issue because we had gotten the $300,000 bridge loan from the bank, which we got in late December. So that kept us from being negative. But operation-wise, and since that's a loan, I can't book it as revenue, even though we have the money. So we're okay. We were able to roll out, and on January 22nd, that's when we got our money from the city.
The first installment, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. We got our money from the city January 22nd. So we had to function from, from June actually, and through the setup for a rollout. December, January, all those costs had to be borne by the agency, but we're good. We did receive our money January 22nd. What are we also doing now? We are banking with Whitney Bank. Whitney Bank is a bank that we've been banking with since we've been at the agency prior to our coming, but they have been very good to the agency. There are times when we did have cash flow issues, and there were many times we had cash flow issues, that you all are aware of, and Whitney Bank has always worked with us. So the decision was made to continue that banking relationship, because we looked around for people that would try and, give us that bridge loan that we needed so we could get started, and nobody would help us except Whitney. So we decided it's only fair that we bank with Whitney, and that's what management decided, and I hope you all agree with that. The money now we have, what we're doing with the bank, we're getting them to, we're going to put it in the money market account so we can draw some interest on it, and we'll be able to draw down as we need it. The money, we won't just be sitting there idle. Like I said, interest rates about to go up. That's a good thing for that, but that's basically it. Like I said, it's uncommon that we would have a loss like this, but it was a necessary one in order for us to be able to roll out at the beginning of the year. And I'll need, there's a resolution also, Dr. Cole, for you to read, and they'll approve that. Resolution, yes.
We read it.
Yes.
Board resolution to adopt the instrument acceptance of budget versus actual report on the 9th day of February 2018 at a meeting of the Board of Directors of the East Baton Rouge Parish Council on Aging Incorporated, a corporation held in the city of Baton Rouge, state of Louisiana, with a quorum of the directors present. The following business was conducted. It was duly moved and seconded that the following resolution be adopted. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the above-named corporation does hereby acknowledge and accept the second quarter budget versus actual report containing the actual expenditures totaling $1,623,478 and the actual revenues totaling $1,498,576 as of December 31st, 2017. The above resolution was passed by a majority of those present and voted in accordance with the bylaws and articles of incorporation. I certify that the above and foregoing constitute a true and correct copy of a part of the minutes of the meeting of the Board of Directors held on the 9th day of February 2018.
Okay.
Move that we accept the resolution.
Second.
She reading.
All in favor? And second, that we accept the resolution. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it.
We want to thank Ms. Pratt for all of our hard work, changing the budgets when necessary, seeing what we don't see, because it stops, the buck stops at Ms. Pratt. That really want to thank you for your hard work. And I know you used to be there a lot of times late at night. I've seen you. And I want to thank you, commend you on your work. Job well done, Ms. Pratt.
And I take this opportunity, thank you very much. I take this opportunity, I invited two of my new staff people to join us today. One is the budget analyst that we talked about hiring, and she's going to take a lot of this off of me. I'm going to help her. And that's Karen August Mahomes. She'll be doing that, and she comes with a lot of experience, and she knows budgets. So, and then the other person I invited today is Will Jerome. Will is our purchasing and procurement guy, and he too has a load of experience with both federal and state procurement, and he's learning the city.
And he also has a load of experience with council on agents. Will used to be a council on agent director for Lafayette, an interim director in Lafayette. So he knows all about the councils on agents. And Karen used to be the budget analyst for, is it House of Representatives? House of Representatives.
Wow.
So they come with some expertise. They're gonna get us together. So we,
Well, the next item on the agenda is the approval of payroll conversion. And this too will encompass us changing our accounting procedure policies. Right now, we're on a semi-monthly payroll, and we'd like to convert to a bi-weekly payroll. It won't cost the agency anything else. Of course, you know that. It's just that we'll be going from 24 payrolls to 26 a year. And our Paychex software, the one that we had preview, is really antiquated, so we've updated that. And in that particular payroll, they're going to have timesheets online, so it would be much, much easier for our staff to enter their own time information if it's done in 2-week intervals as opposed to semi-monthly. So we've already, I need board approval to do that because it will be a policy change for our accounting procedures. And I'm planning to, we are planning to do this effective April 1, because the first quarter will end on the old system, and April 1 will start with the new procedure.
Okay. Motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion? Okay, it's been moved to second. Mr. Daniel and Representative Marcel, all those in favor?
And the next item is the approval of our purchasing and procurement policy. That too is in your booklet today. Yeah. Will have taken this document and dissected and make sure that the purchases that we have done to date have been in compliance with this particular policy. And he did encompass both federal, state, and city ordinances or laws or whatever that pertains to our purchasing and our procedure. So this is the final product of what we would like to also add to our accounting manual as our official purchasing and procurement policy. I mean, you know, you didn't have time to do that. But I assure you that everything in there, and Will is here to answer any questions you may have, but I assure you that everything in there, it will keep us in compliance with in the CEAs or whatever that we have.
Right. He's been on the phone with the state, the feds, and the city, so he knows the regulations.
I make a motion that we accept the document change.
Okay, it's been moved by Dr. Cole and second by Pastor Cyrus that we accept the document. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried.
And the last thing I have is not an agenda item, but I need my check signers. I need to get a date that you all would be available so I can plan my check processing dates around signature days. So I get with y'all after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pratt. Okay. We're going to move to the Board Personnel Committee and Representative Marcel.
Thank you. The Board Personnel Committee met on yesterday, and the item number 1 is the approval of the EBR, Council on Aging Disaster Pay Policy. This is a policy that had not been in place before, and so there was a need to put such policy in place, and it's a copy of it inside of your folders. And what happened was during the disaster, in the snow days, there was nothing spelled out in policy of who they were calling in, who's essential. And so the non-exempt employees that were new, a lot of people were newly hired, and so they were calling in, were like, why didn't I get called in? A, they weren't trained for disaster, and B, they were non-exempt employees, and so they could not be paid. And so this was necessary that we put this policy in place. Moving forward, hopefully we won't have any disaster soon, but this is Louisiana, so we can expect a hurricane, a flood, or something. And so that's why this policy is being put in place. Any questions?
Is there a
question?
motion?
Yes.
Move to accept.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we accept the disaster emergency pay policy.
Okay, and the item number 2 is the update on
All in favor? Wait, all in favor?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Those
Sorry,
opposed? Ayes have it, motion carried.
Okay, item number 2 is the discussion that we had, an update on the staff pay raises. One of the very first things that I want to say is that Ms. Amar is not wanting to give the administration a pay raise at this time. We did talk about the monies that they had given up when they were short on funds. The discussion is continuing in terms of the people who are on the ground getting their pay raises first. There are people who are making $9 an hour. There was a discussion that we would increase those people by at least $1 on the bottom floor, and then maybe at $1.50 at another level. Those discussions continue to happen. However, we know that as a board, we've worked here, most of us have come out to volunteer. We understand the hard work that the people put in, especially the people who are going into people's homes. It's hard to attract people without paying them good people to stay. And so we looked at, there were three things that were laid out for us, 3%, 5%, and 10%. I think as a board, as a committee, we did not come to a finite number, but we knew that that number would be somewhere in between 3.5% to 4%, which is on the lines with the state, maybe even up to 5%. But we didn't see it this time going above 5%. At least some of us. Some people's a little adamant about 10%. I won't call any names. But we understand that the public perception is real, but we also understand that we have to take care of these employees at the Council on Aging. And we even though Dr. Cole wasn't present, we felt his spirit in the room. Dr. Cole has been hammering us since day one when he found out what they were making, that he was, just livid about it. But we are moving that direction because we do need to take care of the employees. There were suggestions made by Mr. William Daniels of some information that he wanted the staff to get back to him with in terms of classification, job classifications, and we were going to look at those. So that conversation continues to happen, and it's going to continue to happen until we phase it in. We're looking at, I think they said July of the possible first term, and we have not voted on it, but as a recommendation for any raises to start at the threshold. We also understand that when we increase salaries, we increase benefits. So we're going to be looking at that as well. So if anybody has any questions, I don't know, Dr. Gilmore maybe explain a little better, or Ms. Amar, but that's what
We have the HR guru here, so we can let him do that.
She's done an excellent job, but, just for you all to know, just echoing the things that our personnel chair has said, the group talked about collecting data so that you all can make an informed decision that you can justify. So comparing salaries to other positions in the area, you need that data. Understanding job descriptions, because someone at the committee meeting said, what's the difference in a C1 driver and a C12 driver? Ms. Amar has always emphasized starting in the phase-in process with the lowest paid employees, especially those that don't have a career progression. What we mean by that is, an employee that's a driver, if that's all they've done, if that's the only skill set they have, them becoming a social worker or accountant is highly unlikely, so they have no room to grow. But do they deserve to be at $9 for 16 years? No, they don't. So how do we create pay ranges is what Mr. Daniel has asked us to also recommend to the Personnel Committee, pay ranges, so that people can see some type of progression, regardless of what their skill talent is. They're not, even if they're in the same job for 12 years, they're not the same pay scale for 12 years. So that's what we want to bring back to the committee with the hopes of starting a phase-in, possibly with your approval around July, and then maybe next year doing something else. But
One department at a time.
One department at a time, lowest of the lowest paid folks first.
And also for budget and perception's sake, if you start with Meals on Wheels, it's 5 people in there. It won't make the budget look astronomical. And then the next year, maybe we do the next department, one department at a time, and we can work our way through the process. It will make us more, we'll be financially astute, number one, fiscally sound. Our budget analyst is working out the budgets for us, and so that, all our ducks are in a row. And it'll be more palatable for the community, because it's one thing to say, I'm gonna give you 10%, but when you say you make $9 and we're gonna move you to $10, and that includes benefits and everything, everybody can understand that, from the layman to the councilman to the senator. So that's what we're working on.
And keep in mind that we're probably, because of the number of calls that we're receiving, going to have to increase the drivers. You can't, I think you said it very well, Ms. Entry, that she went on a route with somebody and the number of meals that they had to deliver in 8 hours. So at some point, if we continue to add people to this list, we must add additional drivers. So we have to keep that in mind as well.
Well, for $9 an hour, the lady that I rode with was going to deliver 56 people that day. If you take 8 hours times 60 divided by 56, we're talking about 8.5 minutes to get there, deliver it, and leave, including travel time. I don't see how they possibly get all that done. And in my view, they need an emergency raise effective April 1 of at least $1 an hour. And I'd like to have that voted on.
How about that?
I don't think that's an agenda item.
Well, I mean, it's bizarre.
And I agree, you know, it's tough to deliver all of that stuff with the traffic being like it is, but we can get Miss Barbara Freiberg to fix the traffic. Council member, she's willing to take that fight on.
Well, one thing.
We need a Meals on Wheels lane.
Yeah.
One thing our new procurement guru has been working on, he got us a GPS system where we can get them in routes that's tighter in areas. So we can know where everybody is. 2, we can get into finite neighborhoods and make their deliveries easier. So if you're going to deliver, you're just in this one area of the zip code all day. So that system is forthcoming. That'll make their job much easier. And so we're going to do some things like that. But emergency is great, Ms. Gentry. But could you let us revise the budget first?
$1 an hour is $40 a week. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Okay, Ms. Linda, but the update from Representative Marcel is just an update. So we cannot vote on that today because we're waiting on information from the staff.
Okay. But it was great.
Just to let you know.
We're going to put it on the record. It's on the record. Great.
Dr. Cole knows it's on the record.
Dr. Cole knows it's on the record.
But that ends
You
my,
tag team with Dr.
report.
Cole now.
That ends my report, except for the amendments that Ms. Glenda tried to put on it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to move to informational items with the COE report minus the capital outlay, which we've done already.
Okay. So I mentioned briefly that the chairwoman and I, we met along with some staff with Mr. Eric Ducote from the city and Mr. Joe Safodi with Coleman Partners, and we have decreased the total estimate for the 1701 Main Street project from $3.8 million to $3.1 is the total project, which is the total CDBG grant funding amount that the city has. Our commitment to the project that they need us to take care of is food service equipment. They will not buy equipment for us. Plus, the grant will not allow it, as well as which we have budgeted, Ms. Pratt. We budgeted $500,000 for food service equipment. We also have to be responsible for our own furniture and moving expenses. And so we will not need the $780,000 for the kitchen, which is great, which was a serious point of contention. So that's great. We are in the design, the second phase of design. They are redesigning the facility to be, so we can expand the kitchen a little larger, especially since we have talked to them about moving next door. We can have more rooms, spaces for the seniors. We can have some spaces where they can go, they can congregate more. We can add a larger cafeteria. We can only fit 128 now, so they're going to increase the cafeteria size and give the seniors some more activity spaces. Okay, so then we had the grand opening, re-grand opening at Baker. We reopening. It's really, really nice. The whole city of Baker had to be there. I'm telling you, there was so many people I had to step outside for a while. We had 10 or 12 chief of police from all over the surrounding area. So I don't know who they were protecting and stuff, but we were highly protected. The council spent about $20,000. That was our renovation contribution, and I say the city's is probably about the same or more, actually. It was great. Everybody's happy. The Chief Dunn provided meals for about 500 people that day. He fried fresh catfish and the whole trimming. And not only did they provide that for the people that participated, they delivered that same meal to the homebound seniors, which was actually great. So we had a great time. I already mentioned about the Meals on Wheels rollout and the calls, and our social worker care managers are inundated and backed up, not only with Meals on Wheels calls, but just with seniors in general. I don't know if you know, Entergy, with those snow days and the storm days, has tripled a fee on the light bill that is giving the seniors serious financial issues. Some seniors' light bills have gone from $100 to $300, and they are calling into us for assistance. We manage the Entergy Power to Care program, where we assess seniors for them. They have to come in with all their bills and all their financials, and then we can pay their bills through the Power to Care program. Well, what Entergy did was cut off their telephones and told them, before you can get an extension or any help, you have to go to the Council on Aging. So on top of the 4,000 calls we got from Meals on Wheels, we have an additional 4,000 calls for Entergy. My one person that does the Entergy programs, she saw 125 people last week and assisted them with their Entergy bills. And it's ever growing, and it's not just seniors. Entergy's program is for disabled Entergy customers as well as senior citizens. We also got I got a call from Congressman Graves' office about a couple that have not had clean drinking water or plumbing at their home since prior to the flood. And so we're working with them, with some plumbers, to get them some plumbing. They have over $3,500 worth of plumbing needs. And so we've been getting a lot of calls like that as well.
Tasha, would it help if I came in and helped field some calls?
Sure.
Maybe some of us, if anybody else has.
You can go in
time,
INA and volunteer. They would love to have you.
It looks like you're having thousands of calls.
We having quite a few calls.
And they all expect to be called back.
And you can sit at the desk with Ms. Denise, and in about an hour you'll be ready to go.
You probably are right. But I will come in and help.
An hour is good. Sure. Last but not least, the advisory board had their meeting last month. They want to tell you all again, thank you for all that you do. They elected a new vice president because their vice president got put on our board last week. They are getting amped up and ready for the crawfish boil. They've decided this year they want live entertainment. They want a Zydeco band. They asked for a beer tent, and I said no. And they asked me to ask you because they said you are the boss. And I told them that you say no, but I have to do what they ask. And so no to the beer tent. Just say no. All right? But they're excited about all their upcoming activities. They're having crawfish boil and senior prom is coming, and that we are also working on a citywide senior expo with fitness and senior health education toward the end of the year. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, did you needed this?
Do we know when the
Question?
The crawfish boil is March the 29th. Did I forget something?
Tasha.
March 29th is a crawfish.
Oh, did you want to? Will, you had something you wanted? Yes, come on. And I think Will wanted to make a brief report about procurement. He won't keep us long because they're ready to go.
Well, as you're aware, the agency follows and will follow the Louisiana Procurement Code, Title 38, Louisiana Public Bid Law, Title 39, Procurement Code, Title 39, Public Bid Law, Title 38, Governor's Office of Elderly Affairs Procurement Rules and Regulations, and the City of Baton Rouge procurement rules as they relate to public works construction projects. Political subdivisions are encouraged to follow the Louisiana Revised Statutes 1702 and 1710, so majority of our initial purchases were under state contract. Our strategy going forward through the end of 2018 calendar year would be to procure projects under state contract where feasible. So I would like to invite you to look at the attached procurement report.
It's in your packet.
Our initial procurements, January through February. 9 of our procurements have been under state contract.
You want to go to them?
Okay.
Good.
We purchased computers January 11th.
For new
Computer on the
employees.
state contract. Telecommunications and data processing procurement law under detailed computers. January 10th was a vehicle purchase. Procured on the state contract, a co-op agreement with the City of Alexandria. The vendor is Courtesy Automotive Group. There's a 3-month or 90-day wait on the receipt of those vehicles, and that's for our Meals on Wheels program. The GPS mobile tracking unit, state contract, that's under GPS Insight. We're going to monitor our current vehicles for efficiency and safety. Lawn equipment procurement, that's under state contract with John Deere. We had a microcomputer procurement under our current contractor, Avant Garde. That falls under Louisiana Public Bid Law and Procurement Code. Food service purchase, procured under state contract, that's with U.S. Foods. That's upgrade to our kitchen equipment. There was an emergency procurement on January 5th.
Our van died.
Oh my goodness.
The motor dropped out.
We followed our procurement code, public bid law, and the City of Baton Rouge ordinance for that purchase. E-procurement service under International E-Procurement Housing Agency Marketplace. This will allow us, under Louisiana Revised Statute 2212 and 2212B4, to solicit or advertise for our procurements, to reach more vendors, have a tracking registration to make sure we're meeting all the laws and bid procurement rules, so we stay clean. Another emergency procurement, van rentals. That was for our rollout on the Meals on Wheels expansion. Because of the 90-day wait from the state on the purchasing of the vehicles. That's allowed under Governor's Office, Subchapter D, City of Baton Rouge ordinances, and Louisiana Revised Statutes 2212P, the vendor's enterprise truck rental. And we have 2 current contracts, bids we're working on, vehicle graphics wrapping. That's currently under soliciting quotes for that, and our A&E services. And I want to expound on that briefly. And to reiterate what our CEO said earlier, I've kind of pushed this strategy. I think we put out a request for qualifications. We're going to try to pool a contract pool of 3 A&E firms biannually, every 2 years, to manage the agency's capital fund projects. That'll meet all of our requirements under City of Baton Rouge Public Works construction codes and regs. And this will allow us, the agency, to utilize approximately 12 local A&E firms within the next 8 years. So we're spreading the money out, getting good expertise to come in and do our projects for us. So we'll stay on timeline, we'll stay within our rules and regs, and we'll service all of our clients. And that concludes my report.
Any questions about those statutes and codes?
Oh, no.
I'm as stringent as possible. We're going to follow every rule we have to operate correctly and stay out of the
And we're so grateful to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That concludes my report.
Okay. If there are no questions, any other business? Any other business?
Motion.
If there's no other business,
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
we move that meeting be adjourned.